My dear friends, I would like to begin with a little incident that will drive home the theme of today's Mass. Andrew was a young man who was rushing to work on a cold morning in a busy city. As he was walking by a restaurant, he noticed a homeless woman with a little baby in her arms, seated outside the restaurant, shivering in the cold. There were so many people walking by, but no one had noticed them. They were too busy to pay attention to them. Andrew too was in a hurry. He had to attend an important meeting. But something within him stirred. Something happened in his heart. He stopped. He entered the restaurant, bought some warm food, and gave it to that homeless woman. She was so grateful to him, and with tears in her eyes, she said, "Thank you, young gentleman, not only for the food you gave me, but for reminding me that someone still cares, for reminding me that compassion still exists. Thank you, ourselves in the other person's shoes, and to act accordingly, to help in deed, not just in word. This is compassion. To help in deed, not just in word. This is compassion." And the gospel of the day reflects how compassionate Jesus, the Good Shepherd, was. We have rightly heard, when Jesus saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Earlier we heard Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every infirmity. Jesus was compassionate to the core. On several occasions, we have read, we have heard how he fed the hungry and the thirsty, how he healed the sick, how he cast out demons, how he cleansed lepers, how he mingled with sinners and forgave them, how he raised the dead, how he paid attention to those who were marginalized. He gave time to the poor and the needy. In one word, he did not exclude anyone from his embrace of compassion. Everyone was under his eyes, under his embrace. My dear friends, Jesus chose his apostles not only to be with him, but to train them, to form them, and then to send them out. And that is what he does in the second part of the gospel today. He sends them out on a mission. He says, "Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and preach as you go, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, cast out demons. You have received without pay, give without pay." A beautiful mission. He teaches them to be compassionate to those on the periphery, as I said earlier, the last, the least, and the lost. My dear friends, all of us are invited to do likewise. What does being compassionate really mean? In the first place, being compassionate means seeing with the eyes of Jesus. And when we see with the eyes of Jesus, we see beyond physical outward appearances. We see to the inner underlying hidden needs of the other, especially the less fortunate ones, the poor, the suffering, the needy. Secondly, being compassionate means acting with mercy. It is not enough to say, "I feel sorry for your suffering, my brother, my sister." It is not enough just to sympathize. What is more important is that we empathize. We put ourselves in the other person's shoes. We suffer with the other person. We make that person's sufferings our own. We identify ourselves with the other person and act accordingly. We show mercy in action. And the third point, being compassionate means giving joyfully and freely. All of us have been gifted with so many things. All that we have, all that we are free gifts of God. our resources, our wealth, our talents, our time, our health, everything is freely given to us by God. Not just for ourselves, not just for our selfish needs, but God has blessed us with so many gifts and talents to reach out to the others, to share them with the others, to be compassionate to those who really need our gifts, our time, our resources. My dear friends, while contemplating on this beautiful theme, I would like to pose before you 3 simple questions. I want you to personalize these questions. The first question: who are the people on the peripheries in my life? Perhaps my own family. It could be my husband, my wife, my parents, my children, my brother, my sister, my uncle, my aunt, maybe the maid. Maybe they need compassion. They need my attention. Perhaps in my neighborhood, there is somebody who's alone, somebody who's old, somebody who's sick, maybe a migrant family. Perhaps they are the ones who need my compassion. In my study or workplace, maybe my own colleagues need some compassion or the other. In my village, in the society at large, there are so many people perhaps who need my compassion. Today, let us try to discover at least 2 or 3 such persons to whom I can display, to whom I can show my compassion, keeping the mind of Jesus in mind. The second question: how can I show compassion to those who need it? As I said earlier, words alone are not enough. They are empty. We need to do concrete things for those who need our compassion. Perhaps giving somebody some food, like Andrew did in the beautiful story I told you earlier, sharing my clothes with someone, arranging for shelter for someone, maybe providing medicines to a sick person, volunteering to take somebody maybe to the hospital, paying the fees of a needy student, just accompanying someone who is lonely, giving a listening ear to somebody who is in trouble. These are little ways by which I can express my compassion in concrete ways. And finally, the third question: am I willing to step out of my comfort zone and be the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the hands, and the heart of Jesus, so that we too learn to see, to hear, to speak, and to serve all those who I need through love and compassion? My dear friends, Saint Francis Xavier is such a beautiful example. We have celebrated his feast a couple of days, and his sacred relics are out there for exposition. If we run through his life, we notice that he was gifted with this noble virtue of compassion. Very often he would visit hospitals, colonies of lepers, homes of the sick, and he would offer consolation and comfort, prayers and sacraments to share his love, his compassion with them. Quite often he would give food, clothing, shelter, medicines to the poor and the needy. He would make somehow time to be with such less fortunate brethren, the last, the least, and the lost. Today the church celebrates the memorial of Saint Ambrose. Again, a beautiful example of a person who displayed love and compassion to those in need. He came from a rich family, had plenty of wealth and riches. But when he decided to follow Jesus, he donated all his wealth, all his properties to the church, and moreover to the poor, the sick, and the needy out of love and compassion. Saint Mother Teresa is another shining example, a woman who displayed so much of love and compassion to the poor, the sick, the needy, the downtrodden, the unknown. Dear friends, as we contemplate on this beautiful theme today, let these saints, and above all, let Jesus, the good and compassionate shepherd, inspire all of us to be people of love and compassion.